Good evening. I'm going to call to order the Water Pollution Control Authority, Town of Trumbull Commissioners Meeting for January 22nd, 2025. I ask the clerk to call the roll, please.
Frank Regnieri.
Here.
Tom Kelly.
Tom Kelly.
I think
Must
it
be on
sounded.
mute.
Can't hear you, John. I can't.
I don't.
Tom,
He's appears to be working on it.
I think the problem is he can't hear us, but his microphone's open.
Okay.
John Green.
I hear.
John Burke.
Right here.
Bruce Elstein. And Tom Kelly.
here.
Very good. Thank you.
There we go.
I'd like to call for a motion and a second to approve the meeting minutes as submitted from last meeting.
So moved.
Second.
Because we have a call the.
Sorry,
Margaret,
wait.
can you call the vote, please? I can't hear you.
Hear you,
I think
Marvin.
you're on mute.
Okay. Frank Regnieri.
Yes.
Tom Kelly.
Yes.
Bruce Elstein.
Here.
We're voting on the minutes.
Oh, I'm here for that portion. So yes, I vote in favor.
John Green
Abstain.
and John Burke.
Abstain.
Thank you.
Motion passes.
We're now going to go on to new business with a new proposed sewer connection at 5881 through 5937 Main Street. Bill, can you bring in the engineers from Waldo and Associates, Bill and
Yes, Bill. Can you bring in Robert and Matt Mahaley? And let me share my screen. And I need to rotate this.
welcome, guys. Good to see you again.
Give me a second to rotate it. And then rotate it one more time. Jesus.
If you're having trouble, I can do it.
I got it.
Okay.
Oh, I thought I had it.
Here, I'll just pull it up. I have it.
You got it. So
Yeah.
mine keeps showing it the opposite way and it's hard to read.
I just got to get to share. And then here. Can you guys see that?
Yes.
Yes.
It's upside down, I'm afraid.
Yeah, it's upside down.
Oh, I thought this was the right direction because this is Main Street right here and Clark is over here.
Yeah.
The grade
But you can't
drawing is
read it.
upside down.
I have it, so let me share my screen, Margaret.
Never mind, I'll stop. Okay. It says to double click to do full screen.
All right, can you see that?
Yeah.
Where's Main Street, Bill?
Main
Why don't
Street
you
on top. Clark is on the left here. And then Main Street is up the top. So this square here is the gas station across from Town Hall.
Okay.
This is the strip mall. The cider mill is here, but it's not shown. And then there's a wood frame house here.
Okay,
And then in the back, there's a building, a warehouse building in the back. You may want, Bob, you want to take it from here?
Sure. Good evening. My name is Rob Sonicson. I'm an engineer with Waldo and Associates in Guilford, Connecticut, and we put together the plan for the sewer connection. The sewer in Main Street is on the east side of Main Street, and over the years there's been discussion and consideration for connecting these parcels, but the difficulty of going across a state highway and all the other utilities that are involved led to the decision that it would be most prudent and easiest and least impacting to connect in from what you might call the back or the west side of these properties into the existing 8-inch sanitary sewer that runs from Main Street to the west down Clark Road. The proposal calls for a connection of a 6-inch sanitary sewer at an existing Y connection that was put in for the property at 5937 at the time that the Clark Road sewer was installed. There's a 25-foot easement that has been established along the north property line, or the west property line of the property at 5937 for the purposes of installing the section of sanitary sewer that runs along about 15 feet north of the 15 feet east of the eastern property boundary of 19 Clark Road. It extends onto 5917, and we're showing a Y to connect the existing frame residence on 5917. There's been discussion with Bill about making that Y into a manhole because the run is fairly long. it's about 280 feet to where the connection is, and then it runs another 150 feet to the next manhole. So we, in discussion with the applicant, there's really no, we think it's a prudent idea. It was a good suggestion by the town engineer to make the first connection that we're showing, which is back up. If you run up to the next connection right there, that connection, because of the grading in that area, it was necessary to keep the sewer line in that easement area. And so when it came out of the easement area, the grade was kind of was a little bit low when we were concerned about coverage. So we graded in some fill in that area. And that's the area where the connection for the house at 5917 is going to be. It'll be a relatively easy change, and I think that from a maintenance perspective, it would be positive, and so we're anticipating going forward with making that change. The sewer then extends, as I indicated, another 150 feet to the south, where it turns, makes essentially a 90-degree turn and heads east to the back of the commercial buildings along Main Street. We don't show a connection on the plan for the cider mill, and that's one thing that I'm not certain. It would be the connection for the cider mill would be at that manhole, which is sort of near the back corner of the commercial strip there at 5873 or 58. I'm sorry, 5893. From that point, it's a straight run along the back of those commercial properties to a manhole at a property at the end of the site, which is, I believe, numbered 5881. The last manhole is going to be about 30 feet north of the southern property line, and that's the extent of the proposed installation. The capacity is going to be more than adequate with a 6-inch sewer. We kept it at a 1% grade, and that's certainly adequate and acceptable for this type of site. I don't think that there'll be really any complications. There's no wetlands issues involved with the installation whatsoever, and it's there are the slopes. There are some slopes, but it's really not going to be a complicated installation. I think it will go very smoothly. Most of it's down the back of the slope from where the commercial buildings are along Main Street. So that's a summary of the application, and I'd be happy to answer any questions that you have. Matt Mahaley, who's the applicant, is here with us also, and both of us can answer questions that you may have about the application.
What is driving this application? Who needed the service here that is driving this application?
There's been discussions, and there have been some proposals that have been developed, and Matt knows about the proposals better than I. Right now, the one house that's there at 5937 is currently connected, and it has been for some time, to the Clark Road sewer. However, some proposals that have been discussed with the town There were some questions about the capacity and the ability to maybe potentially expand septic system for the commercial properties. It was seen that the opportunities for full utilization of those properties was limited by the septic system capacity. That's the impetus for making this connection.
Is this a
Are you saying-
precursor
are you
to
saying-
to a proposal for enhancement and expansion of those facilities, or
No,
what is it?
No, it's, if I may, Matt Mahaley, 111 Booth Hill Road, Trumbull, I'm the owner.
Sure.
There are some tenant prospects, which the sanitarian, I understand, would not allow without a connection to the sewer. Within the existing footprint, so the uses that are proposed are potential.
Just a quick
To the
question.
chair, I have a couple of comments.
Bill, can I ask a question first?
Go ahead.
The commercial buildings, which I guess there's 3 of them, they're not connected now. Is that what I'm hearing? They're on septic?
That's correct.
But this line behind the strip mall and the Shell station keeps going southerly. Is there a building there, or is that for a future connection?
That would be a potential future connection. There's open land down there. I think there is a small building on one of the parcels. We just decided to extend it down there because there is open land available on Main Street. And it gave more of an opportunity. If we truncated it, it would be much more of an effort to come back in later and extend it. So we just brought it to the end of close to the end of the property.
So I see that. So there is a future connection. I guess this is for the engineer. Would that affect capacity, or is the line that you're putting in plenty big enough for?
It's more than big enough for any future development that could feasibly be undertaken on the property.
How many acres is that parcel?
You know, off the top of your head, Matt?
Well, combined, everything I would say is between 10 to 12.
No, I'm talking about for the future lot, or you just
Oh,
possibility of, it makes perfect sense to extend it. I'm just wondering how big the parcel is, because I know there's those townhomes.
I can measure it quickly.
Just a rough ballpark.
160 by, well, we don't go all the way up, it's 120 feet deep.
Yeah, it looks like there's roughly 3 nearly half-acre parcels to the south of the gas station. That's what you're looking at, roughly.
Right, and that's similar, but I think there's a little bit more space than that. 120, 60. Yeah, it's 19,200 by 40, 45, 60. It's pushing a half an acre.
So you're not going to get 500 apartments in there, so their capacity shouldn't be a problem.
No.
Okay, thank you. That's all I had. Bill, you had some questions you wanted to ask?
Yeah, a couple items. Is that 25-foot sanitary sewer easement on the property of 9537 already been filed?
it should be recorded, Bill, I believe so, yeah.
Okay. Also, you have to file an easement up, part of that property is on Town of Trumbull property, the easement. So where this last manhole isn't that on town property?
There is an
If it is.
easement.
I don't think it's town property. It might be the town might have an easement there. No?
No, there's a UI easement there, but that's under town property. Your 3 lots that are up above to the east. But
was
that,
on-
where the sanitary sewer easement is actually town property. So if, I mean, if I'm wrong, I'm wrong, but as far as I know, that's town property. So we can hash that out. I mean, either way, if it is town property, we're just gonna need an easement.
Okay, that's,
Well, the applicant's gonna need the easement.
Right. The
Yeah.
applicant would have to prepare the easement.
Bill, can you identify where the town line of that property is on the map there?
So this is the parcel line here.
Right.
And then this is actually a UI easement right in here.
So the map is showing the sanitary easement going through the same area
And
as.
it's going through the going through the UI easement also,
So they're gonna have to consent to that.
right?
In the town.
So also, you're gonna, unfortunately, there's a lot of wetlands on property here, and you are working in the upland review area. You should have it flagged, at least the wetlands flagged, and hopefully, it's a de minimis impact to
Minimis.
the wetlands, but, or the upland review area, but we need to include them in this. We can't sidestep them.
agreed.
If the commission would approve this, we're going to need a site inspector, an independent site inspector, on the site when you're constructing the laterals. And, you have to prepare a Mylar of the as-built and video and videoing the line and pressure checking the lines.
Those all would be conditions of any approval.
Right.
Yeah.
And also, I would like to see a manhole on Clark Street where you tie in. Because that's the only way to pressure check that line.
We had a manhole, and I saw it was right next to we had a manhole. It was right next to the Y, and I said, there's already a Y, we'll just tie in at the Y, but that's,
It's, there's no way this is what, almost how long is this line here between manholes? Almost 400 feet,
or, yeah, it's,
400 feet.
yeah,
So I think it warrants a manhole in Clark Street
okay,
because it's the only way you're going to be able to pressure check that line.
you're, that's correct.
And a Mylar at the end.
An as-built Mylar.
Yes.
And
Now,
this is their line, not ours, right? Not
it's
the
their
town's?
line, it's a private line. But there is a
Okay.
connection fee.
Yeah,
And it's
I
based
get-
on, the connection fee is based on the usage. And you have, the brick storefront. It's 9,565 square feet at 0.25 units per 1,250 square feet or a fraction thereof. That works out to 2 units. The gas station works out to 1 unit. And the office warehouse in the back is 0.5 units per 5,000 square feet. That's 1 unit. And the residential house is 1 unit. So it adds up to 5 units at $3,500 a unit, $17,500.
Bill, could I ask, that the authority consider right, the line in Main Street, right? We know this has been a issue for years with Mrs. Krisak too, right? That was not placed advantageously for the use of this property. That, I would ask that, you consider reducing that fee given the extended work here. I mean, it may just not be, I don't know how much is it going to cost to install, that fee when the line is going to be private. I'm doing the work that the town didn't do for Mrs. Krisak years ago. Just adding that.
I don't see it's any different than any other sewer extension that we've done in town, but I leave that to the commission.
Bill, let's get this count right. Is the house included in your count?
Yes.
Yes. Not the existing house on the corner of Clark and Main, but the house
No,
that,
I'm talking about that little white house.
yes, that's included.
So that's one unit. And then the storefront with the 4 stores in it, you're saying is
Is 2
equivalent to
units.
2 units? And then the Shell station is what?
1 unit
So that's 4, and then the unit in the back
is 1
is
unit.
another unit?
Yes.
Yeah,
5 unit.
I mean, that's the standard connection fee for anybody who applies. This is no different than anyone else.
Oh, no, I just wanted to
Let
get
me
the
just
number right.
So if I could understand the gentleman's statement when he said this is done in essence to what he quote, well, I'm not going to quote it because I can't quote it, but I'll paraphrase, of something that was not done for the Krisak property. The Krisak property is the one is already connected, yes?
That's correct.
Well,
So
but
if he could explain that statement, I'd like to understand it.
Mrs. Krisak and Mr. Krisak owned the balance of this property prior to my purchase. When I say the Krisak property, I say the remain, the parcels we're talking about.
Well, what were they supposed to do for them? I don't understand what you mean.
Well, it seems that there was no laterals provided in Main Street because and I can't access them. It's exorbitantly expensive, and I'm afraid this is going to be exorbitantly expensive, to do as well. I'm just.
Yeah, I'm not sure what you mean. The town doesn't provide the lateral.
The only thing we could possibly make a case for, and I'm not making this as an offer, is that the house is already connected. So it doesn't need to be connected. You could just stay where it is, or is there something wrong?
Well, that was
Excuse me,
what
Frank,
I
I
wanted
think
to
you're-
clarify. When he said the house was connected, which house was connected?
The
Or
house
both?
on the corner of this house here on 5937, on the corner of Clark and Main, is connected. That was connected.
Now, what
in
about the
2006.
house the house to the south of that? That
Right
one
here,
right there,
that is not connected.
not connected. Okay, well then there's 4 connections.
Oh, there's 5.
5.
5, excuse me. Yeah, 5 connections. And so it would be a connection fee for 5 units. There would be a requirement that this site plan go in front of what, Bill? The
Wetlands.
wetlands?
Yep.
And that the applicant seek approval from the United Illuminating in the town of Trumbull for a right of way. Is that
That's correct.
is that correct?
There's more than the manhole.
Yeah. But let's stick to the economics of this for a second. Bill, I mean, the fact that this line runs down the east side of 111 Main Street is common across that entire section. well, how are most of the properties on the west side connected now? They're connected to the corresponding intersecting streets, or
Yeah, so there's Clark and then the other fingers that go to the north that come down from Main Street. Main Street's pretty much the high point, and everything flows down from there.
right, right. So how did the people, and maybe you don't know this, it might predate you. When was this line run initially? Out of
I
curiosity.
believe this line was run in the I believe it was originally in the late 80s.
Okay, because yeah, I moved here in '94 and I don't remember a project in that area.
Okay.
So the homes and other properties that were on the west side that weren't immediately adjacent to a cross street like Clark, they connected via easements across their neighbors' properties, or how is it done?
There is a couple of them that did that, yes. But there's, most of the ones going towards the north, I forget the next street up, but there was a house that wasn't connected, had similar problems, and they needed to get an easement through a private property to get to the main on.
I think that's Walker and Maine.
That's right.
The 400-foot run, I guess, from, where the Y is and back up to pick up the commercial space going to Clark Road. Does that have an easement that's already established?
That's what he said. He said that easement on the property of 9059
37.
37 is already, he said, has already been filed. I haven't confirmed that, but we will.
So there's no line there. That's all new run. Yes.
It's all a new run.
I must admit, I am a little sympathetic to the argument that properties that were significantly distant from the cross streets were sort of inherently disadvantaged. How old are these buildings, by the way? I mean, again, they've been there since as long as I've lived here, which is 30 years. I assume they're significantly before that. Yes.
The property has been used commercially for over 150 years. Those buildings have been there since at least the 30s and 40s, 50s.
Yeah, I am a little sympathetic to the argument. This is a little different than just saying everybody has to connect in. That doesn't appear there's a provision was made for an economically viable connection for these properties that were significantly between cross streets on the west side of Main Street.
If I may,
Yes.
the properties were never assessed either.
Right.
They were never assessed.
5937 was fully assessed in a project. The remaining ones that he's asking for tonight were never assessed.
So the strip mall and the gas station,
Correct.
even though they're right on the road, were never assessed.
They're not, they were not part of,
They had no connection.
they don't have a connection and they weren't part of a project.
So it was presumed that they weren't going to connect. Yeah. So,
So
Well,
I'm not sure
And
how to
I know-
deal
I
with
know-
that
I-
now.
Yeah. I know it's a lot of money, but I think that is the rules. Everybody else pays by the rules. I think, we're just gonna open Pandora's box if we let in an exception on hardship.
Well, and they will
we-
never be assessed at this point, right? So, I mean, because it's not part of a project. So they gained a benefit by not being assessed and now only paying a connection fee. Okay,
well, but what benefit have I mean, I have to install a substantially long line. I mean, that's to me reasonably equivalent to the assessment, right? I mean, the assessment is to pay for that line that would have been in front of me, right?
I hear you.
We have 30% of the town is still on septic, so so they're not getting assessed. But if they could find a way to connect, I guess they'd have to pay a connection fee.
I'm not sure
I think
there's any
I think-
authority in our ordinances for this kind of exception that I'm aware of. I wouldn't know how to recommend that to the commission.
we would have to have a public hearing and amend the rules, right?
Well, there's
If it's even within our domain to do so.
There's nothing in the rules that says an exception can be created just kind of ad hoc as you go along. We don't have any parameters in our ordinances that would contemplate that.
No.
And you get into a favoritism concerns from the public.
That's the way I look at it. I mean, there's been some pretty large developments in town, a lot of apartments. They're all paying connection fees for each apartment. I mean, I think we have to just stick by the rules. Or, somebody could always, put up a proposal to amend the rules. But we're not going to get that done tonight. So I think, so Bill, from an engineering perspective, you're okay with it? You need 2 manholes, one in Clark and then one on the property where the Y is now?
That could be serviced by a clean out, but I mean, it is a long run also.
You don't need a manhole where that Y is right now.
Technically, no, you could put clean outs going from the house. I'm more concerned about the flow in the long line there.
What do you typically use manholes? What, every 300 feet?
So every 100 feet, there should be a clean out.
Every 100 feet, there should be a cleanout. But this is their line, right?
Right, but we still make them put a clean out in because they're gonna have to clean it. Even a regular homeowner, every 100 feet, they put a clean out.
So that's one of the requirements. It's not on the drawings now, right? Or,
Only on that line. I mean, if you have a service on a manhole, you don't need to do that. Manhole to manhole runs, you don't need to do a clean out.
so if they put a clean out where the Y is, isn't that what you were discussing before? Or
They would do a clean out every 100 feet from the house.
can you just show me where you would put these things?
So 100 feet from this house, I mean, I don't know exactly how long that is, but I think you said it was 280 feet. So he'd need 3 cleanouts. I mean, one,
And then these
two-
other lines would need that as well?
No, so he put a manhole here in Clark, and you have a manhole here before you take the 90. So this line would be accessible to clean out.
Okay, so these little circles where these lines come together, those are manholes.
Those are manholes.
Okay.
Manhole, manhole, and manhole.
Whatever approval we have is going to be contingent on you approving the plans in its final form. So, but I would like, unless anybody has some further questions, I think we're in a position to go ahead and draft something so that we can have a motion to move forward with it in a second so we could vote.
Can
Does
I ask,
anybody?
can I ask one question?
Sure.
Bill, is 1% enough, particularly as capacity might increase?
Typically, you don't want it too fast. So he's got 1%. Actually, a lot of ours go a lot less than that. They'll go to a 0.5%.
Okay, thank you.
I have one question. It might have been answered a long time ago. Early in the presentation, you mentioned about potential tenant. Would those potential tenants be in the existing buildings, or would there be further construction?
No existing structures.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, so Margaret, there'll be a motion to approve the sewer connection at 5881 to 5937 Main Street as submitted with the following conditions. One, the manhole will be installed at Park Road where they connect. There'll be at least 3 cleanouts in the sewer run from the existing house down to where it connects to the, I guess that's the westernmost run of pipe. There'll be the applicant will obtain an easement for the sewer pipe behind the existing commercial space and the run of pipe to the south. I don't know the exact length, but it terminates in a manhole, and that he'll coordinate with council to get that easement, and town engineer, Mr. Mauer, believes that there could be a United illuminating easement there. You'll need their approval as well. And that the total connection fee will be $17,500. So I
If I
believe I
may.
caught.
If I may, we also need to have the wetlands flagged.
Oh, I'm sorry. Thank you. And that he submits the completed plans to the wetlands.
And
For approval.
I believe he also included an independent site inspector.
Well, that's part of our, is that it?
Yeah,
Okay,
Is that
that's
part of?
typically, that's part of our typical approval process, right, Bill?
yeah, well, yes, on something as big as this, yes.
So, well, we can add it, Margaret, go ahead. An independent
Okay.
site inspection, video line and pressure test, and a final as-built sepia.
Very good. That's what I have too. Okay.
Okay, can I have a motion to vote on this?
So moved.
I'll move that per your previous conditions.
Second.
We have a vote, show of hands. I don't see everybody.
Yep.
Motion passed, Margaret, with
Thank you.
unanimous consent. Now, we need another motion, and I'm going to explain to you why. Waldo Engineering is the same firm that you, as you all may recall, at least the ones that were here, that is working on Trumbull Center. And that's old business. We're going to get an update. So I'd like to move that old business to now, and then we'll continue on. When we're finished with that, we'll continue on with the new business. So can I have a motion to reorder that?
So moved.
Have a second?
Second,
Second.
Have a vote? Margaret, the motion passed.
Thank you.
I'm going to turn it over to Bill and Rob to give us an update on Trumbull Center.
Rob, if you would.
Absolutely. On December 26th and 27th, In Situ Forum out of Charlton, Massachusetts, arrived at the Trumbull Center site and did a slip lining project of the entire length of the sanitary sewer, crossing the Trumbull Center property and continuing on through the easement of for the parking lot where the former school was, and connecting to the town's sanitary sewer where it crosses the river some 500 feet downstream. The project took 2 days. There were a series of three laterals that were connected on the Trumbull Center property. And the rest of the I was on the site for most of the day on the 27th, and I watched them and inspected the progress. It was for me, technically, it was a fascinating experience. The material came in on the back of a truck. It was looked like fire hose that was flat, and they connected from manhole to manhole, pulled the liner through from one manhole to the next. Then they connected steam to the end of the line, and the resin in the liner expanded and filled the void in the 6-inch sanitary sewer. It was a very quick, very clean operation, and after they were done, they televised the entire length. I inspected the television evidence, and my conclusion was that there were no detrimental aspects to the installation, and it was completely successful. The evidence is on the video, and in discussion with Bill Mauer, I think that everyone at Town Hall that's looked at it agrees that it was a completely successful installation. And we're very pleased with the work. It was clean. There was no debris left. There was no damage done to any of the environment adjacent to the river. And when I got there, I inspected where they'd already been doing their work, and you couldn't even tell they'd been through there. It was almost surgical the way that the procedure went. And they were very pleasant, very helpful. They explained what they were doing to the town representative that I called and had come by. So all in all, I'd call it one of the more successful construction experiences that I've had.
So if I may,
Out of curiosity, what's the lifespan of this liner?
it's probably 50 years plus, or anything similar. It's all similar to a PVC pipe.
And is the picture you're showing us where the
That was
disjoint was?
That's where the inflow that was almost half the pipe. I went through the whole video. I'm very impressed with their outcome. We did have our road inspector was on site to confirm that things were being done correctly. Very happy with the outcome. You could actually see a decrease in the flow through Bearsley a little bit.
Okay.
Very good.
Based on the video inspection that the town did in the fall, when the inflow was just overwhelming. The difference is stunning.
This is the flow, the very little flow in the bottom of the pipe here at the moment. You can barely see it.
Yep.
But what we did when we did it pre-lining back in October of 2023, this was half a pipe
Of fresh water.
of fresh water.
It was river water that was coming in at all the joints in the material. The other thing is that we didn't have to disturb the existing pipe, and the existing pipe is
Yeah, I'm in a meeting.
asbestos cement.
You gonna be there for another 15 minutes or so? I'll call you in the morning. Did that, what would you, or just tell me what it looked like, or?
Bill, you're on the video here.
Hit mute.
Well,
Now, is this update going to also discuss what's happening going forward? This looks satisfactory as far as if Bill is satisfied with it. To solve the pre-existing condition, but what's the plans going forward?
We had a pump
24-inch
station,
pipe.
lift station, and
Bill,
a
Bill,
pressure
you have to
main.
mute yourself.
Currently approved, as you may recall.
Right.
This installation obviates the need for that pump station, and we'd
Okay.
like to
All right.
think that that the requirement to install the pump station would be now null and void. And the capacity of the system is now adequate, and the owner can move forward with the approvals following all the requirements. There's been one of the first things that's taken place, and I think if you go by there, you've seen that the building along White Plains Road has been demolished, is no longer there, and the former office building in the back along the river has also been taken down. And
Bill, could you stop sharing? There we go. Okay, thanks.
so, there is activity going on at the center. The owner's committed to improving the center. I think the main thing that was done with the demolition of the building along White Plains Road is there's now a lot more visibility from White Plains Road of the interior of the plaza. And I think that from a commercial perspective has always been one of the things that was a little bit difficult in terms of getting retailers to fill space in the plaza. So I've been talking about the moving forward, but they're taking it one step at a time, and that's as far as we've gone so far.
so the question I have for you, Jim, we approved the lift station, which I have to ask Bill, but I would think it's no longer necessary. Is that true, Bill?
No longer necessary.
So do we have to amend our previous approval, or are we good to just let it?
No. Hold on. We had deadlines on the prior approval which were not met. So at this point in time, there is no approval of the connection.
They got to come back for approval.
They do. Remember, we extended that too. Even though the applicant didn't even show up for that meeting, we still extended the deadline into September of last year. And that was not met either. So the approval has lapsed under the specific terms of our own prior motions and approvals of those motions. I mean, they've solved the problem, so that I don't know any reason why the approval would not be granted again, but there is no approval in place right now. But there's no plan to start building either, so it doesn't seem like there's any urgency.
Well, I was just gonna ask
Well,
Robert when they're planning on going for a building permit.
Well, just to be clear on that, there's still an issue with the FEMA mapping that hasn't changed yet. We're still waiting for FEMA to change the floodway. So we can't sign off on it, not unless they move the building. But the current building currently sits in a floodplain, regulated floodway that is, we can't sign off on that. And we made Rob, you were aware of that.
Yes. And we've discussed it back and forth. I did an analysis that showed there'd be no increase in flood elevation, which technically is the measure of no impact in a floodway. But understanding that the map revision is currently ongoing, The appeal period has expired. Now it's in an adoption process. The last time I heard what the schedule was, they were talking about sometime midsummer 2025.
Yeah.
And we're hoping that we're certainly hoping that they meet that schedule. I haven't heard anything about anyone in any of the communities affected taking an appeal against the updated study. So is when it is approved, the situation will change dramatically for what's currently proposed at Trumbull Center, because the new building will be not in the floodway any longer. It will simply be in the floodplain, and all it will have to do is meet the elevation requirements. So we're expecting that that's going to happen, and right now there's plenty that needs to be done at the center already. And the applicant, I met with them and they're interested in new lighting. Can we put in new lighting? Can we do the work along the river that's been approved? They're very interested in improving the landscaping and the environment down along the river. And that's work that's going to be taking place in the near term. And then when the new map revision becomes effective, we'll immediately move forward with getting an approval for the construction.
If you could share with your client, I think you heard Attorney Nugent, they're going to have to come back in and, get ask for a connection approval again for the sewer.
Yeah.
And we're closed in August. We don't have a meeting in August. So, they may want to keep that in mind.
Yeah, I'm thinking that we should be able to get it taken care of in anticipation of before the map revision is finally adopted. But I'll talk with I talk with the applicant on a daily basis, and we'll go through that and set it as part of our schedule.
Okay, thank you.
I'd like to ask a question that's unrelated to the mission of this commission, but I'm always interested in town history. Rob, you mentioned a school back there. I always wondered why there was a parking lot behind the cemetery. Does anybody know the history of the school that was back there?
The center school.
The school wasn't there. The school was where the bank building and the medical building is.
It was a
Center
ball field for the school. It was school property down in the back there.
Ah, okay. I always wondered why that little parking lot was back there. Okay. Thank you. Sorry to interrupt.
Just a point that part of that parking area actually belongs to the condominium association. Just to complicate things.
Right. Well, there's a long-term lease for the use
Right.
of Trumbull Center. So there are a lot of things that are going to have to be addressed.
Okay,
All right. Thank you.
thank you.
All right.
Have a good evening.
Okay. Thank you very much. I really appreciate your time.
All right. We're going to go on to new business. Bill, you're up again.
I'm up
You have
again.
New sewer maintainer position.
Yes, I mean, as you were aware that, we did that tour and you saw all the stuff that we have, and currently we have 2 sewer maintainers. I really want to add a third. There's many times when one person's out and you can't do what you need to do. We have 186 miles of pipe that we need to video and jet and clean, and pump stations and support for DPW that we need to do. We really need an extra person. When you're jetting, you need 2 people. When you're cameraing, you need 2 people. And that leaves nobody. If you're doing that, you can't address what's going on at the pump stations.
So
And
what
if
is your
somebody's out-
What's your current staff now? You have,
Was that?
what's your current staff right now?
We have two sewer maintainers
And you also have a supervisor?
and a supervisor. Well,
And
he's
he was at
the assistant to sewer administrator. He also runs the FOG program, and takes care of the ordering of parts and things that needs to get done.
And he was at the tour. We met him, right?
That's correct.
Okay. So you have two now. Your new budget that we're going to talk about next, is this position included in the budget, and how much
It is not,
money?
because we don't add, Maria will be adding the director of finance will be adding the fixed cost of salaries and, bond cost and all that kind of stuff that we don't really see.
I thought we did see salaries and overtime. and all
Some that I put in, I carried some of the numbers from last year. Like the fuel, some of the utility cost, I just carried last year's. But I didn't put anything in for salary or for the bond cost.
So you're going to ask for a motion to approve this. How much is it going to cost? Roughly.
How much is it? So roughly the position is a low level sewer maintainer. I believe the starting salary is like $33 an hour. So whatever that works out to, but there's benefits and all that kind of stuff that goes into that.
Bill, those
So-
are 40 hour shifts?
40 hours, that's a 40-hour week.
So this would be a new position, right, Bill?
It'd be a new position.
So I don't know what the fully burdened rate is, 33. If it's 50, it's 100,000. I'm sure it's more than 50 if it's $33 an hour with benefits and payroll taxes and all that other stuff. So we're talking somewhere around 100, north of 100. Would that be fair?
That'd probably be fair. I mean, there's overtime and all that kind of stuff that works into that too.
Bill, is that a
Okay.
union position?
It is.
Does anybody have any questions of Bill or?
Yeah, I guess just I hear you. You need two. And the problem. How often does this happen that you're down a man and you?
Well, so it's not so much how often it happens. It's, it does happen, but the thing of it is that there's other work that can't get done. You have to go through the stations one by one, and you got to address what needs to be done at the station. You can't have two people out on the road jetting a line or videoing a line.
These are the same guys that are in there cleaning those screens you were showing us in each station, and
Yep.
any ongoing maintenance. Not
Yep.
repairs necessarily, but ongoing maintenance, day-to-day maintenance. This is what
Day-to-day
these guys
maintenance.
do.
But Bill, last year you lost somebody, didn't you? Didn't you have somebody that left the department?
Yeah, well, that was, we moved one of the guys up. But right now, we're only operating with one person. Because he moved up to the assistant sewer administrator.
Right.
And
So you're going to fill that second position, plus you want a third.
that's correct.
Okay.
Can I ask, does the administration have any position on this? Are they aware of this? Because
Yes, they are.
if they were to say that they put their blessing on this, I would be I would be voting for it for sure, because I just want to make sure that if the administration has a position on hiring town-wide, that we're not going against that by, because this is not really.
We did run this by George and by Vicky. And they were good with it.
I,
Are any
I
of these
could
positions
follow
ever
up. on-
shared with other DPW functions, or is this solely for
No,
us?
no, it's two separate DPW, we do jet storm lines. We jet and clean storm lines whenever they need them cleaned. We do
Mhm.
video, some of that stuff. So we actually overlap in some of their work. But they don't really overlap into ours. I mean, Christine can tell you probably that there's plenty other similar size communities that have a lot more staff than this.
Bill, just from the budget standpoint, though, you still have to submit your budget to the Board of Finance and the council
Yes,
for approval, right?
yes,
After
they
that,
do.
assuming this commission approves what you're asking for, right?
That's correct.
So you're going to inform them that there is an additional personnel as part of this budget that
Yep.
you would be then submitting for approval as part of the overall town budget.
That's correct.
Right. I just want
Any other
everybody to know that,
Yeah,
we don't.
I must admit, I'm
Sometimes.
really cautious about adding headcount, but I hear the need. I'm just mentally processing it.
I really had to consider it hard.
But my opinion is based on the infrastructure that we visited and that we know of. I don't think a staff of 3 is all that much. I've worked with other years ago. It's been a long time. Other town municipalities, their WPCAs, and they have quite a lot of people.
And I'm not surprised to hear Bill say that we overlap into others, but others don't overlap into ours. I saw the reaction of everybody when it was time to go down into the wet wells and actually see and smell and absorb the environment, so to speak. It's not an easy job. That I'll grant.
So based on the Bill's statement that both George and the first selectman have approved this, if there's no other questions, I'd like to call for a motion to approve the addition of a sewer maintainer.
Just one question, I'm sorry. I'm looking at the
Okay.
budget. Where would that be on the line item? Would that be the very first item where it says salaries permanent?
That's correct.
That's my question.
But it's not in there now.
It's not in there
Right.
now. I couldn't put
So
it in.
if we approve this, that was my other question. Do we have to amend that line item?
So you can approve it based on the adjustments that the director of finance makes.
Okay. Any other questions? Okay, back to my request. Based on Bill's request, can I have a motion to approve the adding of a sewer maintainer?
So moved.
I have a second?
Second,
Can I have a vote? Raise your hand. It's like it passed unanimously, Margaret. Okay, now on to the
Just
exciting stuff.
having just voted on it, I guess it's probably late. But Bill, out of curiosity, the history of that position, has that? I mean, if we only had 2 now, or actually only 1 now, I assume that position has not been added to for many, many years, if at all.
That's correct. So originally, back when the system actually came online, they would man the station, 2 people, 24/7. So they had at least 6 people.
Man, what station? Beardsley Parks?
Beardsley, they were somebody there all the time.
Jeez, it's like a nightmare.
The wonders of automation, too, though. So
Right. The automation with the alarm system and the monitoring of the levels of the well all help on reduce the cost.
okay, all right. Well, we've already voted, so sorry to interrupt.
Bill, can you bring up your operating budget and walk us
Yeah,
through it
that's what
so
I'm
we
working
can
on.
take a look at it?
Yep, give me a second. That's the wrong one, agenda. Budget. And share my screen.
Hey, Bill, while we're doing this, why haven't you filled the other position? Are you unable
I
to?
can't, because the deal was that the guy that moved up in position, if he didn't work out, he gets to go back. So my hands are tied
So why he's on probation?
while he's on probation. So if we decide that he's not the person for the job, he can go back to his old position.
How long do you think it's gonna take for you to figure that out?
I'm afraid that after 6 months and 1 day, we might figure out pretty soon.
Has it been 6 months already?
No,
Oh,
it's been 2 months. We have 4 more months to go.
okay.
I guess we could probably say we're good at any point, but I just want to give it some time. So far, he has worked very well.
Mhm.
He seemed quite competent.
Yeah. But I never doubted his ability. There's other things I doubted.
Let's not get into that.
Yep.
This is a public forum here, so,
Yep. All right, so here's the budget, if you can see it. I did, so under salaries, seasonal and temp, I have $5,872. It's for a summer intern for 40 days. And at a rate of $18.35, which is $2 above minimum. Salaries overtime. I kept it at 15,000.
Is that
Right
enough?
now, we do have a little wiggle room in that. But unfortunately, this number we can go by that number real quick with one force main break. Uniform allowance. That went up by $25 for 3 employees.
Let me ask you the number. What are these three numbers? What do they mean?
Which is the
Yeah.
1,610.
Yeah.
So that is 24 and 25 revised. 24 revised, 25 revised, and 26 department requirement. So that's what I put in. This last number is what I put in for the budget.
So back up to salaries, the big number.
Yeah, I didn't put anything in. That was 383.
Oh, so you'll give the head count to finance and they'll fill it in.
They'll fill it in.
Okay, so that's gonna go up.
Yep. And then we have services and fees clerical, and then just carrying the same number. Service fees professional, I mean, we realize that we're moving into our last year of our contract with Bridgeport. I kept the 165.
That's for what?
That's for the legal and discharge alternatives and consultant. We're gonna be going down that road soon, right?
we can extend that contract.
Right, but
No choice.
you want to take that out now?
No, I'm just saying it is the last year, but we have the right to extend for what, 2 or 3 years?
3 years.
3 years, yeah, so.
And they pull the plug and I guess we just
So, so the service fees contractual, there's actually a slight decrease, from last year's budget. So last year we had an additional 3% for potential rate increase that never happened. This year I did talk to Bridgeport. They're looking at approximately a 4% increase. So I added a 4% increase and the 125,000. The 1,100,000 CCFs is pretty consistent with what we true up at. And then the rest of these are all kind of fixed fees in here. See, reimbursable services to general fund, I have nothing in there, but you know, it was 690 last year.
What is that for?
That's reimbursable to the general fund for, you know, it's what the finance department says is our burden to them on
Okay,
WPCA.
it's your overhead.
Program supplies. I actually added this. One of the things I would like to do in this budget is give iPads so that when they go to a pump station or if they're jetting a line, they can put it into the iPad as a document, you know, where they were, so that we don't have to rely on scrap pieces of paper that are scribbled on and poor Margaret can't even read them. So I added 4 iPads.
Everybody know how to use them?
They do.
Okay,
They know how to use their phone, that's for sure.
yeah.
Communication and legal fees, legal notices, $4,600. We can never tell if that's enough or not. Transportation, gas, oil, and grease, I just kept the same number as last year. Transportation repairs, 10,000. Currently we're really below that, but it only takes one truck with the one big problem to make that number go way out of whack. Especially with the backhaul, you know, some of the bigger equipment. Maintenance and service contracts, this is for annual mainline cleaning. We have the ability to have somebody come in and, you know, suck out the wet wells and do some of the heavy cleaning that we can't get. I don't know, 50,000 for program related supplies. You can see we've gone up to 62 and last year it was 50 and this year is 50. Extraordinary items. This is for unforeseen repairs. We blow through this every year. Capital outlay. We have the GIS infrastructure inventory asset management program that we fund. Adjusting various paving road manholes. They have to be raised or lowered or adjusted when we're paving the road. Sanitary easement inspections for 25 roads. So before we go and pave it, we like to make sure the sanitary sewer line doesn't need to get fixed, so we don't have to go back and dig it up. Easement maintenance and clearing. We have a lot of cross-country easements with trees growing along our manholes that you can't even find them. But yeah, we need that. And then 600,000 for townwide repairs of force main, gravity lines, and I&I repairs. They roll this into the 83 account, so it doesn't go away at the end of the year. we have a rack body truck with a lift and plow. This is year 3. Year 3 of a 5-year lease, so. But that, it may be year 4, but I'm not sure. I have to go back and look at that one.
You're leasing that truck, Bill?
Well, the town leases it, pays for it by a lease. I don't know how they do that, but we
Well,
pay because it's a truck that lasts over, it doesn't last 20 years, but it's a,
If I may, the town doesn't lease it, the town leases it to you. You
right,
pay it over time.
right.
Town owns it.
it's owned by the town. Okay.
It's owned by the town, but we lease it from the town.
So the money goes from the left pocket into the right pocket.
Yep.
I get it.
County, it's a county.
Right.
It's a line item. So that brings us to. Did I miss something here?
Utilities. Utilities heat.
So the rest of this is I missed a page here.
There you go. Oh,
There you go, page 4. Yep.
So this is utilities and heat. I just carried the same number. Utilities, electricity. It's a lot of money. Water. It's telephone. I increased it for the iPads. And then the rest is like interest on
on the debt.
yeah.
Bill, what line item or what category is it for the upgrading of some of those older pump stations that we looked
So
at?
that is in the capital plan.
Okay, and that
And
you've
so
got the funding in there for those upgrades?
we have not put anything in for those upgrades yet because we're going to do the preliminary design so that we can get a firm number on those upgrades and then budget accordingly.
So you don't anticipate that in the next fiscal year?
Yes.
You do?
Well, not the next fifth. No, it's going to take a year just to design the stuff.
All right, so the fiscal year that starts July 1 of 25, you're not budgeting that in that fiscal year?
No, I am not. I
Just
will
the- no.
budget in the capital year 26.
26, yeah, okay. All right. Hope they make it.
Me too. I hope so too. And then this is the 9,530 plus the items that the director of finance needs to add into it and the extra person.
Right, so
The
that's
10,947 is what this year's budget is.
Yep.
So once finance adds in a million plus, we should be pretty close to what we were. What's our revenue?
The revenue is, I don't know, do we have that here?
I don't think so.
I didn't see it.
No, that doesn't show in the year-to-date budget.
I mean, I could,
I guess, are we revenue neutral? I mean, do we collect enough money to cover our expenses?
yes.
Always have.
Okay.
Yeah, so we take in more than we pay out.
But that gap was shrinking, was it not?
Yes.
What's that?
That gap was shrinking.
Yeah, maybe.
Okay.
because, yeah, we,
We've had some significant unanticipated expenses in recent years.
yes.
Well, I will mention that there are several housing projects coming before zoning. I think they've already started with one or two
Houses or apartments?
apartments. And that, there's all the, of course, you get all the connection fees on that, but all up Reservoir, among
We have
others.
the one on, we still have connection fees coming for the one on Main Street. There's still more coming.
What about that? What about that commercial development up on the hill above, where Dunkin' Donuts is and all that?
So yes, that they have to come before us for their connection, but that's a doctor's office. And
That's all it
there's
is,
quite
is
a,
it?
there's a significant number of connections there.
An office building or just,
It's a pediatric doctor's office,
Well, why is there more than one?
because there's more than one. It's based on use, and the use is per operating room or something.
Oh,
jeez.
I mean,
All
there's
right.
significant, so. Hang on a minute. If you want to wait a second, I have the chart someplace, Margaret.
That's it. We don't need to know the second. That's right.
No, we don't need to know. We just need to know it's coming. How many apartments are coming, Jim?
I don't know if I know all the numbers off the top of my head. I really don't. I don't recall. But the one on Reservoir Avenue, I think, is the furthest along in the process. So they've filed, I believe, Bill. You've seen their planning and zoning application. I'm not sure if you've seen it or not.
So I did see it. So I did have a brief conversation with them. I think there's 124 units.
Mm-hmm.
So
That's right.
that's a significant amount.
Yeah.
All right. So does anybody have any questions for Bill on the budget?
Nope.
So if I understand this right, we're going to vote to approve the budget, but it's going to be amended. You're going to come back with the amended budget, Bill, or?
Yeah, we can come back with it when it finally gets amended with Board of Finance, and then at that point, before it goes to town council.
Well, first it goes to Vicky.
Yeah, but right.
So you'll be reporting to the commission what their changes are,
Yeah.
correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, so can we have a motion to approve the budget with amendments to be informed? We're going to be informed of amendments as the process goes along, such as the Board of Finance and the First Selectman's Office, etc. I have a
It's
motion.
in essence authorizing you to submit it. That's what we're doing. Yes.
Yeah, I guess that's a better way to put it, John. Let's do it the way John's doing it. We're going to approve it for submission. Can I have a motion for that, please?
Yeah.
So moved.
I'll move.
Can I have a second?
Second.
Whichever one of us is second
Right.
is second.
Can I have a vote? I don't see everybody, but
Let me stop sharing my screen.
Yeah.
All right.
Sorry about that.
okay, Margaret, we got it. It's been approved.
Very good, thank you.
Does anybody have anything else they want to discuss? If not, can I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second,
Second.
vote. We're adjourned. We'll see you next month.